topic is a series called Game of Thrones, written by George R.R. Martin. Game of Thrones is a fictional story based off of events that happened in the late 14th century and early 15th century. For instance, the War of Roses, a battle between the Yorks and the Lancasters for control of England. The Game of Thrones equivalent would be the battle between the Starks and the Lannisters for control of Westeros. The question that I will be asking is the series Game of Thrones sexist? Game of Thrones is sexist. It's mostly seen in the rape scenes, when Sansa or Daenerys Targaryen are raped by their husbands, who they married against their will. There are other forms of sexism, one being that Cersei Lannister is portrayed as a very powerful female character, but still is portrayed as a very deceptive, power-hungry woman, which is kind of to be expected from her character, but it is still very sexist to believe that the only way that women can get power in such a world is by manipulating and deceiving men. In one of the settings of Game of Thrones, known as the Iron Islands, the king of that area had just died, and even though his daughter was next in line for the throne, she was unable to become queen due to the fact that she is simply female. She would have had to go through a series of tests and challenges to prove that she was worthy of becoming the queen, which I do not believe would have happened had she been male. And, I quote, "If you succeed, you'd be the first woman ever to become queen of the Iron Islands." One of the more common ways that women gain power throughout the series Game of Thrones is by manipulating other people, by being deceptive, by generally using dark means, which is a very pessimistic and dark view towards women, particularly in that it brings this idea to the surface that they are a certain way when they're not. And just look at the character Melisandre. She uses dark magics and is the classic idea of what you would think of as a witch that would be seen in the 14th, 15th century during the English witch trials. Seduction isn't the only method of power for women. For instance, Khaleesi. Yes, it's true that she started out as a sex slave for the Cull, but after that she was the one who was respected for her power and her status. When she conquered most of the cities that she did, she used her dragons rather than a seductive means, and she was able to use her name, Targaryen, to inspire the idea that one day she would be able to repay all the soldiers for their time and energy spent working under her. Take Brienne of Tarth, a very strong female knight, very loyal, very devoted. She is Kingsguard to Renly Baratheon before he's killed by a shadow with Stannis' face on it. After which time, she allies herself with the Starks to be able to try and succeed at getting her revenge against Stannis for the wrongs that he has done. Later in the series, after the Starks die, well, that is, after Catelyn and Robb Stark die, she seeks out Arya and Sansa just to be able to fulfill her vow to Catelyn to protect her children to her last dying breath, which is more of the positive, optimistic knight that you would expect in such a series, not the pessimistic female-like characters. She is in fact the opposite. Very powerful, very devoted. And the last character I will be talking about is Arya. Arya Stark. Unlike her sister Sansa, she never confined herself to the social normities of being female. She never was into boys or anything along that line. She was always interested in fighting, always being out in the wild. Also a very strong character, self-knowing, self-devoted, and in no way has sexism played a role in her life. Some people, however, have thought of her as a boy just based off of the way she acts, which is in itself sexist, but it proves the fact that women can be characters that focus on either aspect of being feminine, either being strong and devoted, or being more interested in, say, glamour or fashion. Though, just to focus on one side is sexist, I believe Arya being balanced is definitely a very good example of a more feministic female character. All in all, I would say that it is very hard to tell about whether or not Game of Thrones is sexist. Yes, it is more sexist than it is not. However, I believe that considering the fact that it was a lot more sexist in real life, I believe that George R.R. Martin put the series together in a very uniform manner that makes it less sexist than it would be and more socially appropriate to the modern day. I'll leave you up to decide whether or not it is sexist or not, but I hope that this information is a bit of a help when it comes to deciding whether or not you think you should continue watching. Thank you, and we hope to see you again next week.